I don't. No matter how many times I watch this movie, it's it still doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. No matter when I try to find something I may have missed, it still doesn't give me the answer to the question. At the same time, it's a train wreck. It is a train wreck. The movie that I am referring to is called The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And it stars Nicole Kidman and Colin Farrell. And they're a couple with a wonderful marriage. They got 2 kids. Colin Farrell's character is a doctor. Nicole Kidman is a mother, things like that. One day, Colin Farrell's character gets approached by a young man. I don't know the actor's name. I think his name is Barry, but he plays a young man named Martin. And at first, Martin and the doctor, Colin Farrell's character, everything seems normal. Everything seems okay. Until one day, Martin lets the doctor know, you killed my father. Turned out that Martin's father went into surgery, and the doctor was to do surgery on the heart. Apparently, he was drunk, and Martin's father did not make it. So Martin blames him. The doctor tries to keep away from Martin, but Martin is not letting up. He has managed to get the daughter Kim to be infatuated with him. And then you have the little young son named Bob. Which is literally the name Bob. I'm not joking. I didn't make that up. His name is Bob. Well, Bob gets sick. And soon after, Kim gets sick. And then a whole boatload. You go and find out that Martin wants revenge. There's a scene where the wife goes to Martin and asks, well, whatever you have between my husband, keep it between my husband. I don't see why myself and my children have to suffer. And he basically says, you have to balance it out. And at the same time, the scene itself is rather symbolic if you watch it a few times, where he eats spaghetti. So he tells the story of how he thought that both him and his father were I guess special, because the way they ate their spaghetti. Then when he finds out that it's not just him and his father that eat spaghetti a certain way, where they twirl the fork and eat it, he then realizes everyone else does it. And it made him feel upset because he thought it was just him and his father, that they were special. But it also, that always happened to be a bond between the father and him, which is why he says, this made me very upset. It made me very upset. But not as upset when he passed away. When I found out he had passed away. So he's rather upset. Of course, when he starts dating Kim goes, are you angry at me because of my dad? And he goes, don't be stupid. I'm not angry with him. I just feel sorry for him. Things like that. And then the movie goes on, and it just, like I said, both kids start getting sick. They get worse. And then, there we go. My question is, how the heck did Martin get these kids sick? Because they can't eat, they can't walk. There's literally a scene where the doctor is literally dragging his son, trying to get him to walk. Threatens him to say, knock it off. This is an act, you need to knock it off, or else you're not just going to have no TV for 2 months. I will shave your head and literally make you eat your hair. I don't care. Yeah, I will literally make you eat your hair. They can't eat. They're not, it's almost like their body's not letting them. It's almost like they have gastric byparesis. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's when the stomach is paralyzed and it's not digesting. Many people can't keep their food down. In some cases, they have to have a gastro pump inserted so that way it can try to get the fluids in the stomach to kick in. Other people, like, they can't eat food, period. They have to have a pick in them. And overnight, they have to have some sort of bag that has nutrition to help their bodies get up and going. So it's like, how do these kids get sick? Like I said, he can't eat and he's not walking. There's actually a scene where the father grows so fed up because for some reason Bob refuses to eat. Like I said, the father gets so fed up that he literally tries to force feed his own son a donut. Your kid is in some form of distress and you're going to do that. At the same time, the whole family is emotionless. Emotionless. There is this scene where Kim has gotten sick. Both of these kids are in the same room. They have feeding tubes up their noses. They're not getting any better. They're getting worse. After every possible natural cause is ruled out, there's a possibility it's more psychological. Where she gets a phone call from Martin, and as a miracle, she starts to walk. She walks towards the window because he tells her, hey, come to the window, because she's on the phone with him. And the mom just steps out of the window. I would be like, that's weird. Hold on, what's going on? Who are you looking to? Who are you talking to? He's not there. And the girl starts to lose strength in her legs, and she's like, okay, let me get to bed. The little boy, seeing that his sister can walk, says, I want to walk too. Like, if she can do it, I can do it. The way he falls out, it's like, doesn't even try. And there's no like, oh shoot, there's no nothing. There's no reaction. And the mom sees this, and of course she's trying to get her other daughter up. There's no urgency. There's no concern. Like, oh my god, oh shoot, okay. There's no emotion, no urgency, no concern whatsoever. It's like stone-faced. And it's the same thing with Kim too. There's a scene where she's with Martin and things like that, and she's not showing any emotion, especially when she, attempts to be intimate with Martin, and he turns her down. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure anyone who feels turned down and rejected, we are going to be disappointed. We're going to go, are you serious? Are you serious? We're going to be disappointed. We're going to be angry. She's like, are you mad at me? Are you mad? Like, are you mad at me because of my dad? Like, so emotional. Are you mad at me because of my dad? I'm sorry, Martin. I love you so much. That's so, like, not like, okay, I'm sorry, Martin, but I love you so much. Like, there's no emotion. Even the tone was monotone. The tone of her voice was so monotone, was so robotic. I love you, Martin. Instead of, I love you, Martin. Like, come on. Oh my god, this movie was like, what the heck? And at no point, this is like this other movie as well as All I Can See Is You, where that movie, I only have one question. Not once is this question ever answered. When I go on the internet to see the answer to it, it's just people putting their 2 cents in. Oh, that's weird, that's strange. Well, this whole movie, Killing of a Sacred Deer, was strange. Second, at no point does it ever say how Martin was able to get these kids sick. He mentions lemonade. Oh, I have lemonade. Did he put something in the lemonade? Did he expose himself to something where he's immune to, but if people are around him, they get exposed to it? Is it some sort of hypnotization he's using? Some really messed up psychological manipulation? Like, you can't walk. You can't, At no point does it ever explain how Martin was able to do what he did, how much of an influence he has on these kids. He was mostly with Kim the whole time, not with Bob. He's not around Bob that much, And then in the end of the movie, they go to balance out. So there's the doctor blindfolds himself, and he has a he has a piece on him, and then he spins around and he starts pulling the trigger multiple times, and then unfortunately one of the kids is no more. Therefore, everything is balanced out. Kim gets better. It was supposedly a psychological thriller. There was nothing psychological about it. It was stupid. Stupid. Who do you blame? Do you blame the screenwriter or do you blame the director? Because, none of it made sense. It was, robotic. It was so monotone and things like that. It was so stupid. And like I said, no matter how many times I watched the film just to try to understand it, try to see it from a new perspective, no. No. None of it made sense. It was just what the heck? None of it made sense. It was none of it made sense. None of it made sense. It was so stupid. If you guys want to go ahead and watch, it's called Killing of a Sacred Deer, starring Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman. I think it came out in 2023, 2024. Go ahead and check it out. I thought it was a waste of time. No matter how many times I've seen it, it was a waste of time. So go ahead and watch it. Honestly, it's a slow burn. I don't know, however you guys want to call it. It was stupid. The execution, it was it was a train wreck. It was a mess. It was no one knew what to do. And you can't blame the actors. The actors are only doing what they're told. I say shame on the director. Shame on the director. It didn't make any sense. It really didn't. To me, it made no sense. If you guys watch it and it made sense to you, great. Hit me up in the comment section. If you guys happen to know how Martin was able to have such a deep influence on these kids to a point where they got sick, or he was probably exposing them to something, whether it's inhalation, absorption, ingestion, injection, maybe. Look, those are all. I just said all 4 ways of medical. Inhalation, absorption, intravenously, or with in other words, injection. Oh my God, ingestion. Yeah, let me know. Maybe, like I said, I can't spot the knot. Let me know, guys. It was a total waste of time. A total waste of time.